in German it's Marei, but it's difficult to say. So it's, you can say Marei or Marei,
Marei.
whatever you like.
It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Yeah. Yeah. Happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Zone to Speak podcast. We're your hosts, Debbie
and Juliana. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Zone to Speak. Today, we'll dive deep into the world of endurance sports and the extraordinary Marei Moldenhauer, who pushes the limits of human potential. She truly embodies the spirit of ultracycling and adventure. She's not just a cyclist, she is a force of nature on two wheels. She has raced the Transcontinental Race and Bright Midnight Ultra, and has proven her resilience, determination, and passion for ultracycling distance. But her journey doesn't stop at the finish line. She's also an advocate for exploring the world through the saddle, inspiring countless others to take on challenges they never thought possible. In this episode, we'll be chatting with Marei about her incredible experience on and off the bike. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Well,
you have tackled big races, the famous Transcontinental Race that you have to do your own route and cross Europe. I know you won Bright Midnight. Congratulations.
Thanks.
So was TCR your first one? Tell us a little bit about other races you have been part of.
Yeah, so I would say my first ultra experience was a smaller event. It wasn't a race. It was an event called Steppenwolf. It's from Berlin to Usedom and back. It's about 500 kilometers on gravel. So that was my first experience with kind of like a small ultra. And then from then on, it was 22, I think. Yeah. And then I did some brevets, gravel in this year also. And then, yeah, I had the time, and then I did the TCR in 23. So that was like my first real race. But I did the Taunus bikepacking before, which is not an official race, but kind of also a race, which is about like
it gives you
a bit like the Bright. Yeah, exactly. It helped me a lot. I couldn't have done the TCR without that, I think. Yeah.
Is that a major factor? Really trying to pay your dues, bikepacking and learning more about your limits. So you really have to see what you're made of, what you can handle on the bike, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And also you need to like test your equipment, and you can't really think about like, how am I going to sleep outside? You have to test it. So you have to sleep outside at least once. I slept outside only once before my first ultra. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to try this. Yeah, but it's a totally different feeling sleeping outside in the nature than just like in a tent, just your mattress and this clear sky, which is amazing now. But then I was afraid of it. And then I took so much time for like small tasks at the beginning, also still in the TCR. But this is something you really need to test. Yeah. I think bikepacking helps a lot, and small events. Like I did, or brevets where you ride through the night. Also, I did there.
What is that like? Can you tell us? Because there are a lot of listeners that really aren't in the ultra community. I'm not an ultra cyclist, and I love hearing about all these different strategies and kind of what goes into being able to ride through the night, how you can push your body through these different limits, but especially, how is it for the first night?
Yeah, in the first night I slept outside. It was also Steppenwolf, my second time at Steppenwolf. So there are checkpoints where you can sleep like in an area which is like a camp spot where other people sleep as well. So it doesn't feel so odd. It still feels a bit weird to sleep outside, but yeah, it's different. And then I said, okay, I want to try just sleeping outside in the forest. So I did that, and I did pick a good spot. It was like in the forest space where there was also, it was like a small bus stop, but there was no, I think there was also a bus. So yeah, small bus stop. And then there was just a floor and some sand under the ground. And there was also a trash can right next to the bus stop, which I didn't think of. But yeah, in the night, there are actually all the animals coming, emptying the trash can. So I had all the noises around. Like, I think in the morning I was awake listening to some mice squeaking around me. So I didn't sleep that much. No, I didn't sleep. Like I slept around 3 hours out of 6 or 7 that I did there.
You said you went through first all-nighter riding your bike. Do you prefer riding at night? I know a lot of ultracyclists love the solitude and the quiet time at night. Do you enjoy it, and how do you handle it with the lack of sleep?
Yeah, it depends. If I'm not too tired, I can really enjoy riding through the night because it's somehow totally different than just riding in daytime. And sometimes it can be really beautiful as well. You see all the stars and the moon, and the sounds are really different, and you're so much more aware about all the sounds and stuff around you, which can be also bad when haven't had a lot of sleep, because then you start hallucinating a bit, and then it can get quite a little bit weird because you see all these people and animals around you that aren't really there. But I still enjoy it, I would say. But at one point in the night, I always get really, really tired. That's connected to the darkness, actually. When the sun is up again, it's totally fine, or it's more fine. I'm still tired, but that's fine. Sometimes it also gets dangerous, so that's always the point where I lay down because I don't want it to be dangerous. But yeah, can be difficult at night.
Yeah, I agree. It's good to know your limits and respect your limits. I love the silence at night, but I'm terrified of the dark, and I haven't been that tired that I have hallucinations, but when you are in total darkness and you have just your bike light, the shadows start playing a number on you. So I cannot imagine when you're like sleep deprived, seeing all those shadows. Definitely, I would think animals or aliens are coming to get me.
Yeah. I've never had that bad hallucinations, I have to say. Only you see, as you said, you see the shadows and you kind of can imagine that there's something in there. But for me, it gets worse when you're sleep deprived. But I never really believe that there's something there. I know there's a shadow. It could be a human, but I don't know. So it's not like I really imagine people there. It hasn't been that bad for me yet.
So that brings me to bright midnight, which is, the midnight sun. How was it to ride with daylight all the time? You don't even know what time it is, right? Because the
What is
sun
that
is like
like? Yeah.
position.
It was amazing for me. I loved it. It was really like the first night. I didn't really think that I could ride through the first night. I thought maybe I'll have to sleep because it starts at the daytime. And I was sick 2 weeks before, so I didn't really know how much I can push. And I said I had no real strategy to I will ride through the night or I will sleep X and X hours of time. I don't know. I just went with the flow. I really enjoyed riding through the night because it was almost like I was at the plateau when it was around midnight. And then it was almost like you could see the sun going down on one side, and on the other side, you could see the sun going up. It was not really like that, but you had the feeling like it was still there. Yeah, you have it gets a bit darker, like 2 hours of where it's a bit, yeah, a bit like in the evening, but you can still see. I didn't really have to use my light the first night, and the second night a bit more because it was cloudy. But yeah, it was amazing. I loved it.
Wow, that would be amazing if all of the events could be like that at night.
Yeah.
A lot more competitive though, because everybody be riding through the night, but it does help so much, especially from a woman's standpoint of if we are feeling a little less safe in certain areas. But I'm sure it goes through a man's mind as well. In general, the nighttime, it can be a little bit tedious that way because you can't quite see everything in the same span as you can in the daytime. I'm assuming. I mean, that's what's going through my mind of strategizing riding through the night. I don't know so much that it would bother me riding through the night. I like the nighttime too. It's just, I think it would be the visual aspect of it.
Yeah, sure. It definitely is more dangerous. You can have very good lights, but you can only see so far. And also in the night, the animals are more active. So there have been some accidents, and I think you have to be really aware if you ride through the night and maybe descend a bit slower so you can still stop if there's sometimes it happens and you can't really stop, but that can also happen in the daytimes. Yeah. But sure, it is a bit more dangerous.
So I was following Bright Midnight, and I know there was you, there was Violette, and I think you were leading, but then something happened to you. I don't know what it was, but then you took the lead again. Tell us a little bit about what was happening and how you took the lead and won the race.
Yeah, actually, I didn't really look so much on the tracker the first day because I always try to just go my pace. And then, I mean, can't really push the first day. You shouldn't really push the first day too much. So just going my pace helps usually most. And then I think I overtook Violetta at one point, I think in the evening or so, in the afternoon. I was quite surprised to see her that early because I thought because she is really strong. I saw that before. But I think she struggled a bit as well with the food, and I don't remember. And then in the end with her knee. But yeah, but then from then on, actually didn't see her again. And then I just tried to race the other guys because they were around me. Yeah, it was actually the first time I really raced against the others, because usually I try to just go my pace and don't look too much on the tracker to not overpace and stuff. And this time I tried to be a bit more competitive and to actually like race the other guys a bit. Yeah. And which also worked a bit. But in the end, I had to, because in the end, I also had knee pain in the last day. So I was a bit slower. So that's why I had to slow down and lost my third place. But that's fine with me, totally.
You did amazing. Congratulations. For the first time, I decided I'm not going to look at the tracker either, because if I'm way ahead of the other women, I know I would get lazy, right? I'll be like, oh, I have time. I'll take more time then. I won't put so much effort. But then if I'm behind, I guess I would put more effort not to be last or to try to get ahead. And I decided I'm not going to look at the tracker. I'm going to do my pace, my race, my pace. That was my mantra. And I actually did really well and I felt really good, but I dropped out because the night there was very long. The sunset was close to 6 p.m. So from 6 to 6 was pitch black.
Wow.
So on the third night, I decided I wasn't having fun riding at night. I was just too nervous. So I decided not to finish. I'm still super happy because not looking at the tracker, I think it works best for me.
It's not always the experience of every race. Like you said, it just happened to be pitch black there. You have really long nights.
Yeah.
But what I hear the most is, obviously, I think that's the best option for anybody, is when we're comparing to others or we start just focusing on someone else. And that's where we forget about our own strength. So if we do focus mainly on ourselves, and if you just kind of casually look at that and say, oh, I'm doing well, but then go back to you and say, I know I can do this. And just keep believing in yourself. You're probably going to do better than you thought you could.
Anyways, you did amazing on Bright Midnight. It was fun to follow you and learn about you. And when you were done with the race, I know being immersed when you were doing ultra cycling, all you think about is pedal, eat, sleep, maybe, and, hydrate. And then when you come home, a lot of people have the blues, like the withdraw from that. Have you experienced that? And if so, how do you deal with coming back home?
Yeah, I experienced that actually. I think after every race I did, because always at home there's something waiting for me. And after the TCR, it was my thesis that I had to write again work on it again. And it's so different from just like living day to day, and just the freedom you feel during such an ultra is unbelievable. It's like you feel so you can do whatever you like. I mean, you still have to follow the route and finish, but then the rest you're just for yourself. You just do whatever you like. And yeah, I really enjoy that. And when you come back, there's like the day-to-day life. It's completely different from that. And this time it was my job, which was also demanding then. If you haven't just finished an ultra and you come with all the feelings and like actually at the finish line, the atmosphere was great. There were so many nice people and we like cooked so much together, and like, yeah, it was really amazing. Also the time after the race, and then you come home and it's like just like every other work day. So yeah, so it can be difficult.
You need time to absorb it all, because it's a major event in your life.
Yeah,
it's just the rest of the world keeps spinning. So you can't slow everything down to that pace.
No, yeah. Also during a race, you have so much time to like deal with your mind and with yourself. You can think about everything and you can be really aware of every moment, and that's not so possible in everyday life, which is hard, but totally fine as well. It belongs to an ultra. The time coming back also. Try to take as much from the ultra to my everyday life, which is about like a lot of reflection and awareness. There's a lot that you can learn from an ultra that you can take into your everyday life, actually.
Yeah, I'm hearing that from a lot of the athletes that we have interviewed. That's one of the things that they say a lot is there's so much that goes through their mind and they do some of the best thinking during these events.
Yeah, also some like life lessons. For example, for me, as you like asked me about night riding, for me actually it is sometimes more difficult to ride through the night. But for example, like climbing a bit better in the night, I think it's easier when you climb a big mountain in the night as opposed to climbing it in the daytime, which for me might be because you don't see the end of the mountain. You just suffer in the moment. And actually you recognize, oh, I'm not suffering that much when I'm just in this moment. But when at the daytime, you're looking at the end of the mountain and you could see, oh, I have to still do so many kilometers. And then you suffer because you have to suffer in the future. In the night, that doesn't happen so much.
I kind of agree. I think because your mind plays into it so much because the sight aspect of it, that along with the effort, it changes things. So it takes something right out of that equation right there. It's kind of nice. Honestly, it is, right? I always enjoyed running at night for that reason.
Yeah, I think the visual and also usually the temperatures are usually lower. So you don't warm up as much on the climb. It's really nice.
Yeah. And I think that's something you can take to your everyday life because you suffer a lot because you know you have to suffer in the future.
Yeah.
Not because you're suffering actually at the moment. You're suffering because you know you have to still do this and that and then after that you have to do this. But then when you like are aware of the moment, you actually recognize, okay, I'm right now everything is fine. I just do every task after one another and then it's fine.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see why you're doing so well. You have such a grasp on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Focus on what you can control and on today. Tomorrow will come. Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So tell us more about your background too.
I'm a doctor actually. I work in the University Hospital in Freiburg. I just started my...
So Dr. Moldenhauer.
Actually, I still have to finish my doctorate, but...
You're doing your PhD, like you said, your thesis.
Yeah.
How much longer do you have to go?
Actually, I hope it's going to be finished this year.
Wonderful.
It's nearly finished. It's nearly all written. It's just the last part that's missing.
How does that play into your racing and the training? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, when I was still a student, it was a lot easier because I had a lot to do, a lot to study, but you have the time you can like do it whenever you want. So you can go train and then you can study and then you can go train again. But yeah, it is okay. I started working in June, so it's hard to fulfill the training hours with the working schedule, but it is possible. Some weeks less than others. So far, I think I've done okay. I only train with the training plan and with the trainer since February. So before I always just went for bike rides, and now since February, March, I started working for real, training for
more structured.
Yeah, which helps me a lot because with that, I'm using the training time I have. I'm at least using it well.
More effectively. Yeah.
More effectively. Yeah. So that helps a lot. And also, I think the training itself helps me also to get my mind off of work when I come home and I can like still go outside, enjoy the sunset and then go to bed. I feel a lot different than just working, eating and sleeping.
Yeah.
So it helps me as well.
Yeah, you need that time to decompress from that and completely get away from your everyday job. We all need that time so much. And the bike does that for so much of us.
So as a physician, how do you view ultracycling on the body?
Yeah, I do ENT, so ear, nose, and throat. What can I say about that? I think in general, extreme sports, not as healthy doing like normal amount of sports, but maybe still a bit more healthy than just eating unhealthily and not doing sports at all. So yeah, but it's clear that sleep deprivation and the stress for the body is not good, I'd say. But I'm not doing this to be healthy for my body. Maybe for the mind, it's healthy. So you can
balance.
You have to weigh it a bit.
Weigh and measure it. Exactly. There's a balance there. Maybe not too long term, or you do a certain amount of events and then give yourself enough of a break to kind of equalize again before you push it through again at ringer.
But then also my job in the future, I'm going to do night shifts as well. So I think it doesn't really matter for me.
Oh, that's going to be cake, right? You're going to be like, I got this.
It's like Justina, he said that the nurse schedule really prepped him for ultra race because it's long shifts, night shifts. So he was ready to take on ultra cycling.
Yeah, I can believe that. Yeah, I'm actually, for the moment, I don't do night shifts yet. This will start later. But I can imagine that it really helps that you're used to like not sleeping so regularly. That's something you learn as well, I think.
Sleep deprivation does such a number on the mind, the body, everything. It is like strategic training, learning how to deal with less and less sleep. So I can see where just practicing, maybe trying different things there, seeing what works best for you as an athlete overall and what you can push through.
Yeah.
Do you set a plan more or less and then just kind of go loosely with it? Or is it all kind of, let me just see how I feel each day?
I mean, sometimes I still plan a bit, meaning that I look at the routes and see, okay, where are the sections? Like sometimes there's sections where you shouldn't really go through at night, or I mean, in the races I did now, it wasn't like that. But I think there are races where you really have to be aware a bit about the sections that you're going to do, and like at least I always look at the resupply. And I always look like at the opening hours because I'm always afraid of starving. So I will always have a look at that.
It's basic need.
Yeah. And then I try to have at least a loose plan, but it depends. And it depends really. It's not the same for every race. It really depends my feeling before the race, how I trained, how the days before the race were. Like I said, this time I was sick so close before the race, and I loosely planned to sleep a bit more and race a bit less, but then I didn't do that. So yeah.
But it paid off.
Yeah, it did.
You never know how things are going to go in that sense either.
No.
Yeah, I think ultras are a lot about improvising. From what I hear and from my own experience, there's a very little amount of people that actually have a plan and execute it perfectly. There's always the stuff that come up. Yeah. I know I don't plan anything anymore. Like you said, I just look at the route, try to see if there's a long stretch without resupply or a very technical piece that I maybe want to do with daylight. In the past, I know I was like, oh, I need to sleep here. And then you never get there, or you get there and you're still fresh. You want to keep going. So many ups and downs, right?
Yeah, and also it can be really frustrating if you have like a really set plan and when it doesn't work out. So yeah, that's also a reason I wouldn't have too many plans.
Less expectation there.
Yeah.
More willingness to move with things. And one of the big elephants in the room is weather, because you cannot predict that at all. And sometimes you just get lucky, and sometimes it's off. You said it was amazing having it feel like it was daytime for all of the riding for Bright Midnight. How was the weather?
For me, it was actually fine. The first day there was some rain. I actually confused the days a bit because I slept so little that I can't really, and I don't really know which day was which. But I think the first day it was where it rained quite a lot, but it was still quite warm. So I don't really mind rain if it's warm. I mind rain a lot when I'm freezing, but in this, it was totally fine with me. And everything was wet because you had so many river crossings. So you always had to go through them. And in the first one, I still took off my shoes, and then there were 20 more. And I was like, okay, I just ride through it or go through it. And then, and then it was still warm in the night. It was also really nice. I loved it. And then it was on and off raining the days after, I think, but it was not too much. I always managed to be quite dry, and I had my rain jacket, and it was for me, it was fine. It wasn't too hot also, which is something I struggle with.
The bike handled well, the mechanics of everything went well.
Yeah, actually I had no problems there. Just in the end a bit with my shifting, but it was fine then as well. Yeah.
I wanted to ask about that too. What do you do as far as preparations for any kind of issues that can come up with the bike. I know Justina shared that he worked at a bike shop locally too and has learned a lot about mechanics. Obviously, it helps you along the way. Have you tried to immerse yourself in?
Yeah, I actually try to do everything on my bike myself. So when something breaks, I try to repair it myself first, which helps you a lot understanding how it works. And then I learn along the way all the mechanical stuff. Yeah, but that's also why I'm not that good at fixing flats because I don't really have them often.
You see that so much. It's like I know how to change it, but then you're like, I barely ever get any, knock on wood. If you have a really bad mechanical, have you had this happen that you've had to kind of abandon a race? Or have you had good luck so far?
Fortunately, I had good luck so far. So I had some some bad mechanicals during the TCR, but it was still in Switzerland. So I was quite lucky. I could just exchange it at the bike shop and it was totally fine. Luckily, not yet. And hopefully never.
You went from, not short races, but you did a few races and then went to one of the biggest ultra cycling events.
Which is what, TCR?
Yeah, it's like you're crossing across Europe, it's over 4,000 kilometers. And I think the biggest challenge there for me would be you also have to create your own route.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it was also, I think, the biggest challenge because I also really don't like route planning. I enjoy riding others' route and it's fine. I can do that, but it's not something I really enjoy. No, I decided to do it because I like the TCR is like the European ultra race. So I decided to do it just because I had the time. I think if it would have been for the preparation, I would have liked to have a bit more preparation, fitness and experience because really it was just my second race, like the town I was bikepacking before. And then I did the TCR.
Wow.
The others were just events and no real races. So yeah, it was an adventure from the beginning. But I thought maybe I will not have the time to do that again because it takes so much time, the preparation as well as the race itself and going to it and back from the race as well. So I took it like I didn't really, I raced it kind of like I tried to ride as fast as I could, but I didn't really race it in a sense that I looked at the others and tried to actually be in the front because I didn't know if I would be able to finish it. And that was my first goal, to be able to ride from Belgium to Greece and be in Greece and have ridden 4,000 kilometers.
It's amazing, right? How did that feel when you crossed that last kind of checkpoint of I've done this?
It's kind of surreal because it's just over then. You just finish, you come to the finish line and then there's not that much there. Some people sitting there and talking and you're like, okay, now I'm finished. And there's not like you don't get like a real prize. You just sit down and it's like, okay, I'm here. And then you're really tired also.
Oh, if you feel that the most yourself, but there's not like a cheering crowd there.
Yeah. And for me, it took some time to realize that I actually did that. And I think I really realized it when I was home again, because I had it was so much going on. And I also decided to ride back from Greece, like not the whole way. I took a ferry in between, but I rode back, which was really nice because then I landed slowly coming back to real life. It was easier for me that way. Yeah, but it's like finishing such a race is surreal. Yeah, can't really describe that feeling.
Doing the races, we also have some challenges, some low moments, and each rider has their own method to get through those hard moments. I don't know if you have anything, like some people have mantras that they will say something to keep them going. Have you reached ever one of those low points that you're like, I don't know if I should stop or keep going? And if so, do you have any of those coping mechanisms?
During the bright midnight, actually, I was quite in a good mood during nearly all the race. So I didn't really have these moments. I had some low moments just in the end where my knee was hurting, but it was so close to the finish line that I could easily push through. I was like, okay, I'm going to be finished in a few hours. So it was still difficult, but fine. And usually I listen to music, which helps me a lot. During the TCR, I didn't really think about quitting then, but I had a few moments that were quite hard, mostly at night also, because everything feels so, I can't really describe it. It doesn't feel, at night, everything seems a bit more mean and a bit more dangerous than it is in real, is for real. So it was that one moment where I just had this straight route for like 50, 70 kilometers, and there were no left and right. It was just straight
Wow.
for like 50 kilometers. The cars were overtaking really, really fast, and I just hated it. It was also after the TCR. I swore to myself, which I didn't do, but I said I'm not going to do any road races again. I mean, the TCR is all road, but it was still a lot of tarmac, a lot of traffic. So I hated that a lot, and I didn't really find a place to sleep because there was no real villages and cities. It was just nothing, no camping spots. And before the TCI, I was still not so used to sleeping outside. So I tried to find some camping spaces to sleep always, and I didn't find anything. And then there were these dogs barking at me, and I felt really alone and unsafe also a bit. But then I also met people, and mostly speaking to people helps me a lot if I see some, because even them, they were in front of a bar, and it didn't really look like they were like friendly people. And I just went there, and they were the friendliest people. They were like, oh yeah, we don't know, here's no hotel, but like we can call some friends and you can like go there, and then you can sleep at this place. And I was like, because in the TCR, you're not allowed to do that. You can't take help from outside. So I was like, no, I just look for a hotel or like a place to sleep outside. But it still helped me feeling better because these people were around me that tried to help me, and I didn't feel that alone in that moment. Then also when I'm not feeling well, I try to smile at every person that I meet. And mostly people are smiling back and waving their hands, and it's amazing.
It's amazing how all you need is a little bit of welcoming and humanization to make you kind of come back, right? And just feel like, okay, I'm better now. I can do this again.
Yeah.
It really is all it takes.
I slept at the worst place. I slept on a cemetery, I think, and it was like these stones on the ground which were really sharp, and my mattress broke. But still, I felt so good because I met these nice people.
So you remember an experience like that, but you remember the faces too.
Yeah.
Right. And then you can look back at it and kind of laugh about it a little bit. Yeah.
So in TCR, you have to create your own route. Do you see other riders? Because people are taking different routes. One thing that I love about ultracycling is that there's usually you pass someone or someone passes you throughout the day, not a lot, but a few. How is it at TCR?
It depends, I think. For me, I met quite a few people during the race. Just one section that I rode quite different from everyone else, which was difficult because you don't see anybody and you feel so alone then. Yeah, it depends, because my year when I did it, 23, the route was quite clear, I'd say. So there were no so many options. And so you, like in most sections, you would see at least a person a day or so. Depends also where you race, I think. In the front, there's naturally a little bit less people. And in the back, sometimes people are quite riding together, like not really together, but they see each other so often. Yeah, it really depends. But I enjoy, that's also a reason why I enjoy races like the Bright Midnight with a set route a bit more, because it's nice if you can see like some people from time to time. And especially if you're having a hard time, just chatting for like 10 minutes sometimes really helps. And you remember why you're doing this, or that you're doing this, which you can forget.
Yeah.
It's also the point I would like to stress a bit more, because it's really important that we talk about security. A lot of women, I think, don't participate in these races because they think it is too unsafe, which it can be unsafe. Like, I mean, there's situations that you get yourself into that you wouldn't think like normally, like being outside in the night. But I would say mostly, if you look at the statistics, the unsafest place for a woman is home, because most homicides and like sexual assaults happen within the family or within the close circle of people around you. So I feel like sleeping somewhere alone in the nature, in the forest, because people don't expect me there, and like they don't wait for me there. Post women are really, as I said, mostly unsafe in their own families, and yeah, sometimes even their partner. I don't want to say like we don't have to talk about that and we don't have to think about that. It's just to remind ourselves that it shouldn't hinder us too much of doing things just because we are afraid that something might happen. Because it's also a pity that there's so many little women participating in these events. And while I'm still sometimes I'm afraid, maybe also because I'm a woman outside. But then I try to think about what are the odds now. Mostly cases, the situation is mostly safe. Yeah. That's unfortunately not for every situation the case.
We shouldn't be discouraged as women to race, and I will continue to race. We shouldn't be discouraged from doing things we love, not just cycling, but doing anything because of fear.
There's just as many men who are afraid of things as women. It's more prominent with women sometimes, unfortunately. And then the rates of attack on women over men, unfortunately, is higher. So even if it is isolated and happens less than think it will, especially for these events, it still is something that has to be approached. I mean, remember, all that stuff can be very political. So it's tough to speak on it sometimes. We all have our strong opinions. And as women as well, we love cycling. Nothing's going to stop us. What you have done is inspiring to me. And I think everything is how it's supposed to be. And we learn from it and grow from it. So we've really enjoyed getting to hear your side.
What's next?
Yeah, I want to hear what do you have planned?
I would have loved to do another race this year, but unfortunately with work, it doesn't play out. So my next trip is going to be a bikepacking trip. I'm going to ride the Gran Guanche Road, which is in the Canaries. Gravel.
Oh, beautiful.
And I think I'm going to enjoy that because I always tell myself next time I'm just doing a backpacking trip, like slow, enjoy every coffee. And then I plan my next race and it's all, because I love racing as well.
But you have to go back to those roots too of where it all started.
Yeah.
The journey part of it, that's where you're trying to go as well.
Yeah, I like both.
Do you know what island you want to go to? I'm asking for pure selfish purposes because I want to plan my birthday there. I already told my husband I want to go there and just ride my bike, go to the beach, relax. Where do you think you're going?
I'm doing the Gran Guanche route, which is also a race, but they have the route online, so you can just follow it also. And it's all the island acts. And in between, you take some ferries. So it starts on Lanzarote. And I think I'm going to leave out the last isle, but I'll see. Depends. I'm just go with the flow.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool.
Well, yeah. I wanted to ask because we just kind of went straight for the gate and asked about Bright Midnight and your experience. But I want to know, how did you get into cycling?
No, actually, I started cycling for sports in the beginning of 2020. Oh. My brother gifted me an old steel bike. And he was just giving it to me for like going around the city. But I used it for like some trips. At the beginning, it was just like 30 kilometers flat around my hometown, which was Heidelberg at that time. And then I quite liked that. In the summer of 21, I bought a new race bike, a better one. Then I'd say, in the end of 21, I bought my gravel bike. So it quite went a bit crazy from then.
And you found that you loved that kind of adventure on your own?
Yeah, I can't really say what I enjoyed first or what really hooked me so much. I think it was, I started with just visiting friends. So I was going like from my hometown to some friends which were in Cologne. Like at first it was just 100 kilometers because I didn't have the bike bags at the beginning as well. So I would just travel to friends and then sleep there and go back or like do trips like that. And I really liked that. And then, I think it was in 22 that I did the Steppenwolf. And then I thought, okay, I might be quite good at this actually also. Then I started biking a bit more. Yeah.
What an incredible journey with a few years. You did one brevet, then you took on TCR, and then you went to win Bright Midnight. Incredible.
Thanks. I don't see myself as that.
Very humble. I think that always makes for a great champion. You don't know quite all you're capable of, but you're capable of so much. I feel really privileged to talk to you. You're very easygoing, very easy to connect with.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice talking to you.
Super nice to get to know you a little bit better. Thank you for your time. And I hope we can have you again here once you are done with your residency and start doing some other races or to talk about your adventures.
I will start racing again next year. I'm very optimistic because then I can plan my vacation better. It was the problem that this year was hard to plan, but next year I already plan racing.
Well, again, it's been a pleasure. It's so easy to talk to you, and I hope we get to hear more about your adventures. Really keen to hear about the island hopping in the Canaries.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me. It was really nice talking to you.
Thank you.
That's all for today's episode. We want to thank you, our listeners, for tuning in. Your support means everything to us. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends. Feel free to share your thoughts and feedback. We love hearing